Okay, earlier the video just cut off because the phone just cut off. It just stopped recording, so I'm just continuing where I left off. And a few hours have passed since then. I took a break, did some things, came back to the coffee shop to continue my list and or not. Just going over this list, the plan of action list that I wrote down last year. I was at number 10 before the video cut off, and number 10 was find out precisely how much income is needed to sustain, which I did. And again, I'm going over last year's list from a year ago, right? So so number 10 was find out precisely how much income is needed to self-sustain and grow. So I got to get out of a situation where I just live week to week. So for 52 weeks, it just, that's what's got to happen. And I got some ideas, but I'm not sure how I could go about it. And it might even be a dead end because of some nuances and variables that I can point out in a moment. But I'll just briefly mention the idea of it is bartending, but I'll get to that in a minute. But number 11 was write out a list of current needs. Number 12 was write list of projected and expected expenses. And then number 13 was add up a list of current day-to-day expenses. Number 14, create video for this product that I came out with. I got a prototype for an invention made, but I discovered it has a slight design flaw that can be fixed. But actually, it's not even a design flaw necessarily. It's just that the prototype itself, I didn't have the means to make it into the final product technically. So, but that's one of those long-term things that you got to do in the long term. If it doesn't make you immediate money to eat with and take care of your insurance, your gas, and your basic needs, I could be making thousands of dollars right now because it's when I say it's an excellent product, it's not like one of these things where some person has like this wild, crazy idea and he thinks that it'll take off or something like that. In fact, I'm not even saying that it will take off. I am saying, though, that if you put my product into the landscaping industry, then you will definitely get some buyers from landscaping companies mainly. Most likely not as many homeowners would buy my product, but if I could market it to the landscaping industry, then I would be able to make a really decent profit off. It's amazing. Now I'm going to tell you something. This is crazy. Okay, so check it out. Right now, because I mentioned this in another video, right? I mentioned this in another video. Like right now, if you're watching this and you connect with me, we could be making a lot of money right now. Because this product is a practical product that nobody is using in the landscaping industry. And I do gardening and landscaping. And so part of that is bed design. So I'll show up at somebody's house. I live in the South. It might mostly be used here in the South where there's clay, red clay, right? For the most part. And that is why my tool. So that's how I developed this tool, and without getting into it, right? Because I do bed design and I work in the red clay, and this tool can be put in landscaping supply stores, hardware stores, and even Home Depot and Lowe's, the big box stores. and we could get professional displays made. I can file an LLC for it, which would cost less than $200 to become a corporation. You don't even have to have $200. You could just have $150. I believe it's $150 here in South Carolina to have a corporation, right? And you become a corporation. So if this is new news to you, then that should be a tell and a sign to you that you have been misinformed on how reality works. Because if you don't understand when they talk about, the corporations, if you don't understand that a corporation is just a piece of paper that you go file with your state, then you don't know what a corporation is. I've had this argument with people a lot, and they'll be like, well, there's a difference between mom and pop and a corporation. A corporation is, it's just corporate. And they don't find the words to put it in. They don't have the words to put it into something comprehensible, because they are mentally and cognitively in a nebulous headspace, in this dreamy, abstract. That's why they don't understand corporation. Because the dude tried to explain to me that there's a difference between Texas Roadhouse and the mom and pop shop restaurant. I was like, no, there's not. There really is not. There's no difference. The only difference is when someone points to a business and they say, that's a corporation, mentally and cognitively, they're unaware of this. What they're pointing out is the fact that the business has a more polished image that looks more new and looks like it has more money to operate their business, but they're unaware of that. And they probably do have more money to operate their business. And the guy that owns a local coffee shop here in town is a perfect example, because when he started his first business, his first coffee shop, the very first location, it looked just like a Starbucks. Technically, it looked just like a corporation, because the signage on the front looked professional. It had professional sign, professional wording, logos on the shirts for his employees, logos on the coffee cups he sells inside the coffee shop, and they make their own coffee, and they roast it right there on site, and then they put it in the professional bags with the logo on it. If your average random person that doesn't know any better walked into there, they'd be like, it's a corporation, when in reality it literally was at scale, at the level of a mom and pop shop. Originally, it was just that. From the onset, from the very beginning, it looked like what most people would call a corporation, and they would, and if I was with the average Joe walking on the street, and I were to say, well, point out the mom and pop shop and point out the corporation, he would this is what he would do. He would point to some coffee shop down the road that has like less articulate design, maybe like in a plaza with some regular letters on it, and you walk in and they've got drip brew coffee and a few pastries, and the person inside is not even wearing a logo on their shirt, maybe wearing regular clothes, and their cups may not even have a stamp of a logo on it, and the person beside me would be like, well, that's a mom and pop shop, and he would point to that business of the guy I'm referencing, and he would say, and that's a corporation, but they're literally the same. So a little unbrainwashing for you, just to unbrainwash you. But in this video I just recently posted last week or something, I was talking about how like you are looking at a millionaire, and my tool that I made up, all I would have to do, and this is like the hurdle that a lot of inventors and entrepreneurs, especially if you don't have connections to people, this is like the hurdle they go through. It's about finding the right people, right? But it wouldn't take a lot for us to come together. And remember, like it wouldn't take a lot for me and some of my friends. Like we could just come together, put some money into get my tool, get the prototype finalized, and then get a final just one product, and then go pitch it to stores and get them to either invest and purchase the product before it's even made. Get them to purchase the product before it's even made, and then we use that money to make the product and get it in their store, and then they sell it for a profit, right? And so we make our profit off of it, and or we get some capital and then go get it made and then consign. Take the display into the store with the product on it and just sell it. Like we could all just like make a ton of money, right? But why don't we do it? Why don't we? The reason why we don't is because everybody's stuck mentally in their minds thinking about, it's some grand hurdle, this grand cliff of a ambiguous. They're in that ambiguous employee or indoctrinated headspace where these kind of things that I'm talking about is just this impossible undertaking that only the mysterious crowds that are involved in deeper networks within some kind of construct that we don't have access to, and it's off in the when it's really just stupid fucking simple. So my friends, I could pitch this to them, and I know that they wouldn't. Here's their response. It would be like, well, Billy's got like another weird idea. Oh, it's got a weird idea. And so, and this is one of those things where my product objectively will be a tool that people will use to save time, save energy. And when I say energy, I mean like personal energy when you're working. This tool is designed to decrease fatigue. It's designed to decrease fatigue, and it gives you the ability to get the work done faster. And there's another thing. Decrease fatigue, get the work done faster, and it's a multi-use tool. It can be used for at least two different types of work within, the landscaping industry. Again, rarely with a homeowner. And I got a cool ass name for it. It's so good. It would sell. It would just sell off of optics appeal alone, giving it a good name and a display. Where would you get a professional display at, right? You go walk into the box store, the Walmart or the Home Depot, and you see the professional displays. Those are just simply made at other businesses. Everything is just a fucking business, right? Everything is just a business, and so where you get those done is at businesses that make displays. You get somebody that, of course, you got to pay people to do this, and this is an example of it takes money to make money, but at the same time, think about it. Relative to the investment, the profit that you would get from it, the investment would be minimal. Now, I don't have numbers for you exactly right here because I have not been able to get that far along. Why? Because I'm struggling living job to job, and I've lost 4 customers. Like, if I was somebody like the dude that started the coffee shop, like his uncle was a millionaire already, who already had money through business networking and connections, and he comes from a Christian family where everybody's like all, super conservative Christian. Like he fits right into the the culture. He fits right into this Southern Baptist type of culture. And so when he stepped into the world, he was able to just be like, hey, I'm me, and I'm gonna go work hard at the coffee shop, and now I want to start a business. And I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I seen a post where his mom writes this long post about how awesome he is, and he's got family backing him, and moral support and connections. And so when he starts his business, all the old men, instead of looking at him like he's some loser, some bum in a truck that always shows up and drinks coffee at Starbucks, instead he's the equal opposite of me. They see, oh, he's a young and bright, ambitious young man. And whenever I was young and ambitious and trying to figure things out, I didn't have that energy, and I didn't have people praising me. Instead, I had people raising their eyebrow and giving me strange looks, oh, okay, you're poor, yeah, you gotta call out your disposition. Whenever I would come up with ideas, people would just be dismissing them. But when he comes up with his idea, it's oh, really? Good job, young man. Oh, good news. Yeah, good job. Positive reinforcement. So it's the positive Matthew effect, right? And I experienced the negative Matthew effect. It sounds like I have something against this guy I'm talking about. I really don't. He's a good guy. He's cool. He's actually helped me out. So I'm not knocking him at all. But I'm just, the contrast. It's that dude, if I would have remained a Christian, that's literally how I would live. I would have become just like that guy. I am that guy. We're like a carbon copy of each other, sort of, in a lot of ways, except I can't, I just did not have all the access to the resources and stuff like he did. It's simple as that. But what I'm saying is and don't get me wrong, there are really good I've seen at least one really, 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 really good product that came out to the market, and I can't remember what it was. Not landscape related. I just seen it in a in a video, and somebody put this product to market, and I remember saying to myself, why did this not become successful? Because it was a very practical product. I can't remember what it was. It was something small. And I was like, why is not everybody using this? So even really good practical products that come out to the market doesn't mean that necessarily that they are going to become successful. So there is the chance, which I don't believe we would fail at this one, because it's possible it could not render, but that's part of risk taking, right? And however, I just don't see how this product would fail, given its practicality and its use. Now, and how easier it makes it for the landscaper. And I think an owner of a landscaping business would be more than glad to have workers that don't tire out as easily, and that they can get the job done efficiently, right? Now, some jobs and tools that you work with are dangerous, okay? So my tool is just a little bit of a dangerous tool, right? To some extent. So you wouldn't want to work too close around people when you're using the tool. I know it may not make sense, but once and when I can get this tool out, I will. And I've also found a fabricator. I've also found a guy who will fabricate the tool. I met a guy that has a business, and that's what he does. He forges metal and stuff. His company, his company's up north. I'm in South Carolina, and his company is up in Ohio or something like that, or somewhere up north. And so I got that connection. So now we just need some capital to get the tool made, get some displays, and we could test the market. here in the South, in my area, it's a good market to test it in. Say we get 20 units per display, right? We get 20 units per display, put it in the hardware stores or landscape and supply stores, and make a consignment agreement, test the market, and see how well they sell. You don't have to dump too much money into it, and but I mean it would. But here's the thing. Like, let's say it costed like $3,000 to $5,000 to implement like a small testing, right? The average person would say, "Oh, that's a lot of money. Oh my God, $3,000 to $5,000. Oh my God. Oh, like." But really think about it. Is that actually a lot of money? It is for some people. It is for me. That's a huge, enormous chunk of money for me, right? So, my thing is if that $3,000 to $5,000 rendered even making the money back and not gaining anything off of it, just the fact that you made the money back is a testament to how well the product would sell. You know what I mean? So, anyways, what I'm saying though is that we could go into business and make money, right? More than what we typically would working for somebody else. Don't get me wrong though. I'm fully aware, beyond aware, that a lot of business owners, more often than not, make a general regular person's salary with their business, right? And they might even work more hours than an employee. There are some businesses where the operator of the business makes less than someone salaried at the warehouse, right? At the end of the day, I might end up making that $16 an hour as if I were working at the warehouse. What's the difference, though? The difference, though, is I'm living my life. I'm the one building it up. I'm the one that has the vision, and I'm building my life up. And those that want to join me in business, it's them living their lives, and they're building it up. I would definitely do this product, and I still plan to do this product. I simply have to get the right people invested in it. And I also have like an old dude. He's retired, and he offered to help me with the marketing, and he used to work for marketing as his business, right? And then I'd also be inclined, because you remember as I spoke about the old guy who like kind of distanced himself from me recently after I pitched getting a landscape contract with their HOA in that neighborhood. He started distancing himself from me. But even then, he is willing, someone that obviously has money and is willing to give out a little money, right? And help people. And he said when he was in the pharmaceutical industry, he legitimately wanted to help people. When he was coming up with, like, he invented a Suboxone. I think no, not Suboxone. My bad, not that. That's the addictive thing. I'm trying to think. That other thing that helps people taper off of hard drugs. I can't remember the name of it, but he created some kind of capsule or tab that you put in your mouth that helps you like it basically, I guess, dissolves in your mouth or something like that. Methadone. Yeah, he created a methadone strip that you put in your mouth or something, and it just. But he said that he wanted to help people. So I have to be understanding of the fact that he's misunderstood about where my brain is at and how I perceive reality. And because, again, people think I'm just an idiot, right? I mean, clearly I'm not. If everything I'm saying is making sense, I know business people would say I'm making sense. But anyways, so anyways, he is also the next door neighbor of the guy that does marketing, that did marketing as a career, and so he. In fact, next time I go over there, I may pitch the idea to him. Like, of course, then again, if the same pattern persists and ends up where like he's cognitively biased against me, he will come up with all kinds of like, and this happens to me a lot. People are cognitively biased because of my station in life, because I'm impoverished and I don't have access to people, resources, and stuff. So people are constantly at odds with anything I say because they're always seeing me through the filter of that bias of where I'm at in life. Always. So it's almost like I can't have a good idea just because I'm me, because I'm Billy, and I don't have anything, right? So and I've struggled. So in their minds, well, there must be a reason why you've been struggling, and it has something to do with your incapacity or unwillingness to commit or whatever thing that they come up with, or work hard or whatever, right? And it's totally not the case, because I see through the lens of, in my opinion, what is objective and facts. And this, I'm sort of an anomaly, and I'm truly an anomaly. So, in the sense that, like, I'm so rare in that I have this capacity, and yet I'm so also very poor at the same time financially, right? So, anyways, but yeah, but I could attempt to reapproach him somehow and bring up this tool and show it to him and show him how it works, and attempt to talk past his conditioning, past his perceptions, and which a lot of the time it's hard with people, even after they agree with you, even after you've talked, because this is another thing that happens, and I give this an analogy. I'll try to say it, this analogy, where, well, what happens is I explain something to them, they're right along with me logically. They're like, oh yeah, what you say makes sense, and they agree with me like 100%. But in a short time, their mind closes back, and then they go right back into the mode of seeing me through their inaccurate perceptions and their inaccurate lenses through which they see reality and through which they see me. So I've often thought of it like this, like a kid's swimming pool. You know those little 3 foot wide, half a foot deep kids swimming pools? And the reason why I use this analogy is because I remember this. I remember like splashing the water in the pool, and for a brief millisecond, there's no water at the bottom of the pool. You splash it, you hit it hard, and you splash the pool, hit the water, and then for a brief flicker of a second, where you hit the pool, where you hit the water, divides the water from the bottom of the pool. Like it separates the water. The water gets separated for just a split second, and the bottom has no water in it in that split moment. No water in it. It's technically dry, right? And then immediately the water fills back up. I mean, it's the same thing in a bathtub. Like you're in the bathtub and you splash down the bottom of the. But I always, somehow my mind goes back to that. Like for that brief moment, they are in agreement with me for that brief moment, right? And then they go, the water fills back up and they go back the way they were thinking. Even after they've sat there and had an actual intelligent conversation with me. And there's other reasons, like to have to admit, for a lot of people, to have to admit a lot of the time to their biases, it means that they it challenges their identity, like, because then they would have to be able to proclaim that they align with me in some way. And if they align with me, that means that they're like me, and they don't want to be like the poor guy. They don't want to. So it has a lot to do with that. And then like if they've helped me, like the guy helped me get the truck right. Since he helped me, it was sort of like I was I don't know if I'm saying this right, but like a charity case, like in a way, because I got a good deal on the truck, right? And so he kind of helped me. So because he was the guy that helped me, if I advance my station in life and get better, then I'm no longer the guy that you helped, right? I become a peer. Then you have to acknowledge that, like, I'm really not that lowly guy that needed help, right? Or needs help anymore. And then, so therefore, I'm not the guy that you get some kind of, I'm no longer a use for your ego anymore, right? So, here's that. But, anyways. But yeah, like, if I pitched this to my friends, they would just be like, oh, they would just, like, raise up, like, concerns or questions, which it's logical to raise concerns and questions. I'm not saying I'm against that, but I'm just saying, like, most people would be more likely biased against me if I come up with good ideas. And it's so crazy because I win so much, even though I'm in a lowly state. When I beat the fraudulent child support case, it was a major win. The fact that I was even able to get this truck out here is a major win, because it means I've advanced somewhat. And part of the reason why I got the truck, right, is because I knew that eventually I'd be moving out from the old place, right, where I stayed. And I was frankly concerned about living in my old beat up S10. I was concerned about that, because if I lived in and I was like, found myself like in the parking lot or something of the S10, I could be, something's on the back of heaven. So if I was in a nicer vehicle, so I wanted to plan ahead of time, just in case, like, I found myself like in a like a homeless situation or something like that. I at least wanted a nicer vehicle, and just in case I had to ride around, I wanted a good vehicle for that purpose, and I wanted a good vehicle, and I wanted a kind of like something to fall back on, because over time, if they start seeing an old beat up S10 with a bunch of junk in the back of it, from an old 96 S10 with a bunch of junk in the back of it, that's gonna just scream meth head or something like that. And people are already ignorant and stupid as it is, and so the amount of cops I've encountered where they're just like dumb, they're really stupid, and they're just like, oh yeah, but it's so stupid. Like, my son's mom used to be able to just tell them shit about me, and they would just believe her just because she was a hot chick. You know what I'm saying? And they just side with her. So, and then any kind of actual logic flew out one ear out the other. Peanut brains, right? But we could literally be making. It's weird too when you're in my state of position, right, in life. Like, these things that could be short-term wins become like my invention, my tool. They could be short-term wins. I could just be, if I had the right connections, I could just pitch it, and it would become In fact, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about this. I'm just going off the top of my head as I go with this video. Like that same guy that started the coffee shop. Ever since, I'll be honest with you, like he said a couple things to me that did rub me the wrong way, but I tried to take it, I guess, in stride or take it. And we've talked about this a long time ago. Some of y'all who are with whom I have been connected with. Some of y'all I'm connected with, right? Here on YouTube, that he suggested like a couple years ago a warehouse that I could go work at. And he already knew that I wanted to work for myself. At least that's what I picked up on. I picked up on that he understood that I was working for myself, because years ago, even way before that, I started a moving business, right? And I had a moving business, and he knew about it. He even recommended people, like he shared it and recommended it, and fucking. So he kind of knew that I was trying to be a businessman, and then when I got my license back, he's like, "Oh yeah, there's this warehouse that you could, I could connect you up with randomly, right? Because I just got my license back, and it's possible that he wanted to help me out. I mean, I don't see him as a bad guy, but like, and maybe it's not him as much as like, I get tired of like people recommending me go back to a warehouse." And then the fact that like he's out there, has his own business, and I even sent my son on a what do you call it? Job shadowing. My son job shadowed with him, right? And so that I could teach my son about starting a business, right? And he knew about my moving business. And then he's recommended me like to go to a warehouse. It's like what a kick in the face. Not by him personally. Again, maybe he was just being like truthful. I lean more towards that. I don't think he was just trying to be. I literally don't think that he was trying to be like facetious or something. I think he like legitimately was thinking, oh, you need some income, so hey, how about this warehouse, right? That's what he was trying to, like, he was legitimately doing it, but internally it feels like a kick in the face. Like, oh, I get once upon a time you wanted a coffee shop. Well, he doesn't know this, but he knew I wanted to get into business, and now he's recommending me go to the warehouse. It just still feels off. And when he first got, about 3 or 4 years ago, I walked into his coffee shop, and I had not supported it, right? Not because I didn't support it, but because I didn't live close to the coffee shop, and I'm practical and I'm poor, so I don't get to go out of my way to go help support somebody. And so me not going to his coffee shop was not because I didn't want to support him. It was just because, like, it just didn't make practical sense for me to go to the coffee shop, right? It didn't make, and in fact, I did support him, but I couldn't just go out of my way to go over there and support it every day because I couldn't afford to drive across town, plus had my license suspended. So I walk in and he goes, "Billy," he was like, "I ought to punch you in the face." And it's like you've had it, you got everything technically that I ever wanted when I was on that path, and you're now telling me you ought to punch me in the face for not supporting you. Even though he probably didn't mean it on purpose, it still felt like a punch in the face, right? Given that I've always wanted to, like, life didn't just land in my lap the way it did for him, right? In that way, right? So last video it cut off at this point, so I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully it'll keep going. If it cuts off, I'll upload a part 3. But and I was trying to explain in the last video that I got stuff I'm reading right now is from last year, 1 year ago, these goals and stuff. And so I wrote down all the bills and expenses that it would take to at a minimum, like how much would life cost, just me and my son, right? And I would have to at least make a gross salary of $18.55 an hour. And I broke down what all the bills would be and expenses, and I wrote down what like the deposits would be on utilities, rent, storage until I can get things moved out of there, right? And how much it would cost for a moving truck, and you know. So I wrote down everything, like monthly living expenses plus how much it would cost to potentially like rent a place once I got a place, right? So I wrote down everything: personal care, car repairs, cleaning supplies monthly. So I wrote it all down to get to know exactly what I would need. And none of these jobs, you know, will pay that much. Well, you can get a part-time job, right? I guess so. $18.55 an hour at my first job. Like say that warehouse job calls me up, right? I would literally go there and I'll show them this. I was like, I know y'all start at $16 an hour, but you know, I would probably need more than that. But well, in 30 days we'll give you like $1 raise if you're doing good. So then I'd go from 16 to 17. So I'm just saying. And then back then I did not have the Ford truck. I had the S10. So I am running out of time on here actually, but I'm gonna keep going. Got about 5 more minutes. So new tires, like this was the stuff that I needed for the S10, and it came out to a total of, I didn't write it down on here, but